Okay, so back again, George. Okay, what comments are we looking at this time?
Well, after we showed them the books, we know that the information they could look. I guess we could read through the comments from the Instagram or TikTok that we posted.
Yep. Okay, well, what have we got there?
Yeah, what we got there. So we got from this guy, I'm not going to mention his profile name, but he says that you get a Muslim Hafiz from each country in the world, having no connections at all, even amongst their teachers and their teachers and their teachers. They will recite the Quran to you word by word at exactly the same time. Okay, what evidence does he have that they recited word for word? Want to take it a step further? Okay, you tell me, man. Do the same challenge again, but get blind Hafiz instead. You're getting all brave by talking about how it wasn't written for 300 years, which is false. Make those Hafiz blind from birth instead. They've never seen the written words of the Quran. They memorize it through oral tradition alone. You will have the same results. Don't think the Quran is comparable to any other book in the world when it comes to preservation. You have no idea what you're talking about. Well, haven't you have no idea what you're talking about as well, mate?
Yeah, that's all right.
You're always talking nonsense when you never actually tested this fallacy of yours out, lame-o.
Yeah, okay. All right, couple of responses here. Firstly, notice what he says at the bit. He talks about blind Hafizes, just for people who are not really familiar. My understanding is Hafiz is someone who's memorized the Quran, okay? And he reckons that you could make them blind and they'd memorize them. So in other words, he lays out an experiment, doesn't he, George? But does he actually do the experiment?
Nope.
No. Does he provide us with evidence that's actually ever been done and that has worked? No, he doesn't, all right? And he doesn't engage with any of the arguments made by, where's our favourite book again?
Yeah, where's our friend?
Our friend, Shoemaker, yep.
All right, here we go.
He doesn't engage with any of the arguments made by Shoemaker because, he talks about you've never actually tested this fallacy of yours, right? I don't have to do the testing because Shoemaker's already described all the people that have done the testing, all right? So chapter in here called Remembering Muhammad. I'm just pulling it up. Yeah, chapter 6, Perspectives from Memory Science. Isn't that what it says, George?
Yeah, chapter 6, Remembering Muhammad, or Perspectives from Memory Science.
It goes from page 148 all the way through to 170. So that's 22 pages, all right? And he's talked about memory, eyewitness memory, the fact that all of the experiments, he talked about memory loss and reconstruction, how, in other words, science has shown that our memories work, that we don't actually just memorize them video recorders. We memorize certain bits of information, we forget some, and then we reconstruct those memories using other bits of information that are in our brains. And that's what the neurologists and the neuropsychologists have found, okay? This is, I mentioned this before, the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, all right? By one day, there's 33% left, okay? By 6 days, there's 25% left. Interestingly, by 20 minutes, there's only 58% left. Look at that, George. By 1 hour, there's 44% left. By 1 day, there's 33% left. By 6 days, there's 25% left, all right? So, dude, whoever you are, write to us, read Shoemaker's book, read his footnotes, go to the research studies upon which his claims are based, and show where they're wrong, guys. Don't just sit there and throw rocks and saying, oh, you got it wrong, and LMAOF, whatever that means, laughing my proverbial backside off, right? That's just a waste of time. If I look at, in the book, the footnotes, just want to see how many footnotes he's got from Remembering Muhammad. He actually has 70 footnotes. Now then we go to Re-Remembering Muhammad. What does that say there, George? Re-Remembering Muhammad?
Oral tradition and collective memory.
Oral tradition and collective memory. Guys, how do you say that all the stuff was passed on? Oral tradition, remember? Okay, let's look at oral tradition. So Shoemaker's got from page 171, all the way through to 201, okay, and so 203. 32 pages on oral tradition and all the studies. How many footnotes? He's got, he has got, guys, this is a big one. I'm sorry, Muslims, you're in trouble here. You got a lot of reading to do. He has got 111 footnotes. So you have to go through all of those footnotes to show where he got it wrong. Otherwise, I'm sorry, but I don't have to accept your claims. So anyone else that wants to claim that memorization and you guys have perfect memories, or the early Muslims had perfect memories, better memories than us, that's not what the science shows. As we said in one of the videos, the science actually shows that we as literate cultures, or people in literate cultures, in other words, cultures with writing, have better memories than people in oral cultures. And I use a computer analogy for it. It's a bit like the fact that we can write stuff down down means we can free up our memory from memorizing stuff so we can use that space to do other things, to remember other things. Because if there's something that you could easily write down, then it doesn't really make sense just to have that stuff stored in your memory. It's like memorizing a phone book when you could just write the phone book down.
Yeah.
If you've memorized an entire phone book, okay, which is a big feat, it doesn't leave much room left for you to memorize other things.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why they find that people in literate cultures, and the research shows that people in literate cultures actually have better memories. So again, sorry to go on a bit about that. It just annoys me when people just make claims without actually providing any evidence for it and just engaging in ad hominem. So I hope that helps. Anyone else who wants to make an attack position on memory, take it to Shoemaker and all the other books we've written. Okay.
Take it to the shoemaker. He'll stomp you under his shoe.
That's all right. Well done, George.
Anyways.
All right. Back again, George. What have we got this time?
We got from another one.
Another one, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, you think I'm going to mention his profile name?
No, we're not doing that, guys.
I'm just reading it now.
Chill, everyone. Chill. Everyone out there, just relax. This is just, we're having a friendly conversation. And if you don't like what we say, that's fine. It's a free country, eh, George?
Yep.
You know?
Luckily, we're not living in Iran or any other.
Oh, well, yeah, listen, we couldn't do this openly in a country under Islamic rule. So God bless Australia.
Yeah. Also, Christians are the one that make Australia a free country. If you imagine the Muslims just sort of doing it.
Well, that'll be another story and a podcast for another day. But I don't disagree with you, George. But let's not get sidetracked.
Yeah. He says, no, you haven't. I.e., literally everything you have get absolutely debunked into oblivion.
Yeah, oblivion.
With evidence and receipts. Just because you believe that you say doesn't make it true. Islam is growing faster than it ever has in history. It's also by far the fastest growing religion on earth. Well, just because it's growing fast doesn't actually make it true.
That's right.
That's another thing. And I personally know 11 people who have become Muslim in the last 2 years. So absolutely nothing can even be considered as a sinking ship. Christianity is a sinking ship. All 11 people I know who became Muslim were Christians previously. And I know one Muslim not practicing who became Catholic. You can't compete. I think this guy kind of referencing here that he thinks every religion, whether it's Christianity or Islam, is sort of based on the people.
Yeah.
I think that's where he's coming from.
Yeah. Well, there are a number of fallacies with here. Okay. So, you alluded to this before, George, but let's say this. Just because something is growing fast, does that make it true?
Not always.
No. Well, it doesn't make it true at all, does it?
No.
Okay. What makes it true is its claims can be shown by evidence outside of that religion to be true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what makes it true. Okay, that its claims can be shown to be valid and its claims explain what's going on around us. Just because it's growing fast doesn't mean it's true. I mean, fads grow fast, but also what's one reason possibly, even if Islam is growing fast, what's one single reason why it could be growing fast?
Okay, you're going to have to answer it for me. Maybe
Okay.
It could be the doctrines that...
No, it's got something to do with, I'll answer it for you, George. If Muslims have more babies than Christians, are there going to be more Muslims than Christians?
Yeah, definitely more Muslims.
That's right. Okay. The birth rates in Islamic countries and in Islamic families, women get married younger. They have more kids, but on average between 3 and 5 kids per woman. And this is an indictment on Christian society. So all you Christians out there, shame on you. All right. They're having less and less kids. Okay. And in some Christian societies, they're below the replacement rate. The replacement rate is about 2 births, 2 kids for every female per year to replace the people that die.
Yeah.
Okay. And in a lot of Europe countries, or even America, Australia, it's dropping below replacement rate. In Islamic countries, it's not. Okay. So to say that Islam is the fastest growing doesn't mean it's the fastest growing because of conversion.
Right.
It could well be the fastest growing because of birth rates.
Yeah, I totally get you. Because based on birth rates, it doesn't necessarily mean all of the people that are sort of new to Islam are sort of converting. That doesn't explain any of that.
That's right. And if more people are becoming Muslims every year because of birth rates, does that make the claims of Islam true?
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay. And look at this other one. He says, Christianity is a sinking ship. He personally knows 11 people who've become Muslims in the last 2 years. What's the problem with that? That's personal testimony, isn't it?
Yep.
Does he have any evidence for that?
No.
Okay.
Name one.
That's right. Name one. Okay. I can do the same thing. You know what? I could say that I personally know 1,100 people who've become Christians in the last 2 years. We could say that, couldn't we, George?
Yeah, we can.
And there's nothing you guys could say or do about it because I've given you no verifiable evidence for my claims. Now, we're not going to do that because we're intellectually honest. What I can say is that I know of thousands of people who have left Islam around the world, okay, and have become Christians. I know of people who are discipling ex-Muslims. Okay, one person I know is discipling more than 500 of them online. Ex-Muslims, all ex-Muslims, right? Whatever someone wants to say about their personal experience, I can throw my personal experience. That means nothing, guys. Personal experience, that's not empirical. That's just hearsay. That's just anecdotal evidence. That's the word we use in science. It's an anecdote. An anecdote does not make evidence. In a courtroom, they're not going to accept anecdotal evidence to put somebody away for murder or whatever else. They want something far more than anecdotal, saying that, well, I saw this or I know of. No, they want something that's verifiable and refutable. So I'm sorry, this claim of fastest growing religion is not valid. It doesn't mean it's true, and your anecdotes don't wash.
Yeah, that one's out of the roof.
Yes. So anyone else that wants to send us claims on why Islam's so fast growing or anecdotal, guys, don't waste your time.
Okay, so here's like another comment. He says 644 CE, manuscript passes to Hafsa, 650 to 656 CE. Uthman produces standardized codexes and distributes them across the Muslim world. The key Islamic claim is that the primary preservation method was never the manuscript alone, but mass memorization by large numbers of reciters in every generation. Manuscripts served as a written verification of the text that has already begun transmitted orally by thousands.
Okay.
Now, we already replied to this comment.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read?
Yeah,
what we say?
read out the reply, then we'll expand on it.
Okay. So here's what we said. All the sources you're quoting is coming from the Hadith, which is more than 200 years later after the fact and cannot be verified. So tell me, how do you actually know that any of that actually happened? Give me one non-Islamic source any of that actually happened. Also, provide me a complete Quran with all of the 114 chapters that has been conclusively dated by the Western scholars to the time of Uthman.
That's right. Here we get back. Here I want to talk a bit more about a problem we have with the Islamic narrative, the Islamic sources, and actually some of the people that are interacting with us online, is that you guys believe the standard Islamic narrative because you believe the standard Islamic narrative. Now, what kind of argument is that, George?
Is this circular reasoning?
It is circular reasoning, that's right.
Yeah.
Because you're saying that we can trust the Hadith, okay, as trustworthy. The sayings of Muhammad, we can trust them. They're valid because Islamic Hadith science says they're valid.
Right.
You see, that's a circular argument. There's nothing outside of that circle that verifies the claims the Hadith are valid or that the Muslim science of Hadith science is valid. As we saw, Shoemaker's testing of those claims using oral tradition and memory science shows that Hadith science is not valid. All right. And again, you don't like that, take it up with Shoemaker. And if you don't like that, take it up with one of your own scholars called Yasser Qadhi. We've got another video where I analyze comments he made, okay, on a channel called Skepsis Islamica. And he also clarified those comments in one of his own, in a sermon to his own audience, saying that the Western historical critical method does not accept the Muslim concept of Hadith science. As far as the Western Academy is concerned, he says that the Muslim idea of Hadith science is completely discredited. That's his words, completely discredited, okay? He said that when he cites Hadith, he's able to do that in a Muslim setting, but not in a Western one. And you remember he said that as for the claim that the Hadith go back to the time of the Prophet, he says, this is what I say as a matter of faith, not as an academic. Remember that?
Yeah.
Not as an academic. So this again, what we're reading in that comment is somebody making a claim as a matter of faith.
Yeah.
Yasser Qadhi also talked about, this concept of iman. In other words, just believing that something is true. And other Muslim scholars like Shabir Ali talk about how all of the companions of the Prophet, they would never lie about the Prophet. How do we know?
How do they know that they'll never lie about the Prophet?
How do we know? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Again, would a court accept that? Here's the problem you got, guys. Number one, in a courtroom, only verifiable evidence is going to be accepted. Also, we need independent evidence. Okay, it's a bit like this. George, let's say you were charged by the cops for stealing something, which I hope never happens, by the way. Okay, I'll smack you across the head if you do. Okay, just joking, guys. That's what a father who loves their son would say. You were charged by the cops, right? And let's say I said to the cops, look, he was never there. He was with me. Let's say somebody who didn't know you, was independent, said that you actually were there. Who do you reckon the cops are going to believe, me or the person who's independent?
Someone who's independent because he's unbiased.
That's exactly right. The cops are going to say, well, you have a reason to protect your son. So we can't just accept your word, George's dad. We need to provide independent evidence, okay, that verifies claims that are being made. All right. So my challenge to the Muslim, you say you've got a copy of the Quran, that Uthman collected. and sent throughout the Muslim world. Where is it? Give me one copy from any of those cities. I believe it's Basra, Baghdad, Kufa, Mecca, Medina, Damascus, okay, and Cairo, I think. Give me one of them, okay, from any of those cities that we can trace back to the time of Uthman. Also, we need to independently verify. We need to verify it by non-Islamic scholars. Otherwise, it's just circular reasoning. Now, I've had some people say that, and Yasser Qadhi tried to say that, he doesn't accept the historical method. Now, I think he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, because he says, when we want to apply the Bible, when we want to criticize the Bible using historical method, we'll use it, right? And he said, we agree with some of the claims those historical critical scholars made about the Bible. But when we're going to apply it to the Quran, he says, this is when we're going to have to agree to disagree. Why is it that you can apply the historical method to one document that claims to be historical, that is the Bible, but doesn't the Quran make historical claims?
Yeah, explains that a certain thing happened in history.
Yeah, it doesn't.
In the place.
Yeah, don't the Hadith make historical claims? Of course they do. So why can't we apply the historic critical method to the Islamic sources as well? Okay, I'm sorry, that's special pleading in philosophical terms. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's like, if we're going to examine scientific claims, what method are we going to use, George? Are we going to use the historical method or the scientific method?
Scientific evidence, like...
the scientific method, that's right.
Scientific method, yeah.
So if we're going to examine whether the Hadith claims are historical, we've got to use the historical method. Now, if the Muslims don't like it, give me something better that's also historically sound and valid, that's accepted by Western academics. The reason we can trust the scientific method is because everybody accepts that the speed of light is the same. Everybody accepts that acceleration of an object is 9.8 meters per second, whether you're living in Africa, whether you're living in Australia, whether you're living in Asia. There are constants in the scientific method. There is a constant method that everybody can use. So if you're going to say that the historical critical method provided by Western academics is a problem, give me something better. If you're not willing to put your money where your mouth is, then stop wasting our time with ad hominem attacks. And with all due respect, stop wasting our time with circular reasoning. Now, I won't go into detail about the Bible here, but I will say that this is what Christians had to do. We had to actually not just rely on what the Gospel said and what the New Testament said. That's why the fact that we do have references to Jesus of Nazareth outside of the New Testament, we have evidence for Jerusalem outside of the New Testament, and we have evidence for things that were said and done inside the Gospels and the book of Acts, peoples, places, names, and events. We have references to them outside of the New Testament. For example, we've got an inscription that refers to Pontius Pilate, prefect of Judea. That's exactly what the Gospel said he was.
Yeah.
We've got an inscription that refers to Gallio, proconsul of Achaia, which is exactly what Paul says in Corinthians. We've got evidence of people that were crucified just like the way that the Gospels say that Jesus was crucified, including breaking their legs.
Yeah.
Right? We've got Tacitus talking about the new believers that worship that Christus was crucified by the Roman governors, Pontius Pilate. We've got other Roman sources talking about how the Christians would rise in the morning, worship Christ as a god, and sing hymns to him.
And Tacitus isn't a believer back in his time.
No, he's not a believer.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. But do you see that we've got these extra biblical sources that are independent and pretty much hated Christians verifying what the Christian sources say? So Muslims, that's what you need. You need to find extra Islamic sources that verify the narrative. And as I've said before in our channels, almost everybody agrees with the fundamental points regarding Jesus. There was a man called Jesus of Nazareth. He lived in the 1st century, right? He lived in Judea, Galilee, Palestine, those areas, okay? And he was crucified by the Romans under Pontius Pilate, okay? They're the 4 key claims. They are historical claims. Person, place, time, and event. Unless the Muslim can give me sources outside of the Islamic narrative and outside of Islamic sources for those things, we're not obliged to accept them. Now, you Muslims can accept them if you want. You guys can say, well, we just believe it anyway. All right, fine. You believe what you want to believe. But you cannot say that it's an empirical, evidence-based claim. It's like Yasser Qadhi says, another thing Yasser Qadhi said in his explanation, he says there are empirical claims, in other words, claims based on evidence that we can measure, and there are faith-based claims. You want to stick to your faith-based claims? That's fine. Your claim that Isnad and Hadith science works is a faith-based claim. It's not an empirical claim, which is why Yasser Qadhi, to his credit, and a lot of credit to Yasser Qadhi for being intellectually honest, admitted that when he quotes Hadiths, he says them as a matter of faith, and George, not as an academic. Beautiful. All right. I think that answers that objection.
Wonderful.
Do you think that, well, let me ask you, George. So do you think that answers that objection?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.